like to play baseball from, I guess, as long as I can remember. Uh, one of the foolish things that happened playing baseball is I was catching one day in a little neighborhood game, and we didn't have a mask. And I said, "Well, I'll catch." And I'm thinking, how many times have I done that and never been hit in the mask? So, so I volunteered to do it, and broke a tooth, got my nose broken and knocked out, and kids had to carry me home. It's kind of a mess, but uh, I like competition, and I like to be right in the middle of it. Uh, at any rate, when I was maybe a sophomore in high school, my family moved from Sherman to Dallas Fort Worth area and to the Haltom High School area. Well, I've made friends in school, and but I went out for the baseball team at the encouragement of some other kids and made the team. Anyway, I became a semi-pro baseball player. Now that basically just means that somebody pays the bills and you show up. Doesn't mean you get paid for it. But we were in a league, and one of the places we played was at Sycamore Park in Fort Worth. Well, I remember had a little red car. I don't think Peggy and I were married at the time, but we might have been. I don't remember, but we were close. But anyway, I was called to preach at Victory Baptist Church. I'll never forget. The visiting preacher was preaching that night on Balaam's donkey. And he said, even a jackass can recognize his own master. I can't tell you how that touched my heart, that I had not done that. I had not recognized Jesus as my Lord and Master. I was saved, but that's about it. So I remember walking forward to the pastor, Reverend J. White, who was a great friend, and told him I felt like God was calling me to preach. So he helped in every way he could. As a matter of fact, I preached many times in that pulpit. But I had a little sign in the back of that red car that said, have Bible, we'll preach. And so there was a conflict in the scheduling. It seemed like most of our baseball games were on Sundays. And I was tied up on Sunday, just about every Sunday. So I made a decision. I got to do one or the other. I can't do both. I can't play baseball and serve the Lord. Now, obviously you can, but in my situation, I needed to make a commitment. So I made that commitment. Told Peggy about it. Said, this is my last game. After today, Sundays will be free. So I had one of the best games that I can remember as a catcher. I remember hitting a home run over this right field fence at Sycamore Park. It was it's kind of like the Green Monster. It's a double fence, and I remember throwing out a couple of base runners and picking a guy off first base and things like. I had a good game. Well, I remember the last pitch and walking down the first base line with my catcher's mask and catcher's mitt in my hand. There was a man at the down the first baseline. I was walking to go around the fence to the parking lot. And he said, "Son, could I talk to you a minute?" Well, he had on a San Francisco Giants hat. And I said, "Sure." We talked. And he said, "I'd like to invite you to a San Francisco Giants tryout camp." And you know all the emotions that might have been going through my heart. But I said, "No, sir. I've made another commitment." And even walking to the car, I was thinking to myself, well, that's it. Nobody's going to ever ask you to do that again. I kind of felt like an idiot. That was my life. But I went back to the car and tossed my catcher's mitt and mask and all the equipment in the back of my car, closed the trunk of the car, and there's that sign in the back window that says, "Have Bible, will preach." Well, that was a tough time. That was a tough decision. You may be facing some of those same situations as a Christian. You need to make a commitment, and you need to stick with it. Well, I didn't know what that was going to involve. I certainly didn't know it would mean deliverance ministry and preaching in 850 prisons around the world. All I knew was I couldn't do both. So I made the commitment. So glad I did. I remember going to seminary at night because I had to work during the day. My daylight hours were working for the electric company as a meter reader. And as you read meters, you go around the city and you're in every backyard. You meet all the dogs and all that goes with that. So I had a professor in the seminary from Scotland. His name is Dr. Peter Conley. And Dr. Conley was a godly man. He was telling about, he said, "Boys, there's just something I want to share with you. You'll need it someday." So he was a revivalist in Scotland, kind of like the Billy Graham of Scotland. And I'd go from city to city and do crusades. And he said he went to one city and he was welcomed, and they had like a parade welcoming Dr. Peter Conley to town. And he said when he got there, they told him they had a witch in the community and they wanted him to witness to this woman. He said, "Well, I was all about doing that." And he said, "I remember going to her house, and before I even knocked on the door, I heard this voice from the inside that said, 'Come in, Peter Conley. I've been expecting you.'" He said, I opened the door and went in, and my legs froze. My legs got so heavy I couldn't move. And I realized I was in the presence of a demonic entity. And he went on to tell the story about how he finally made it to the door. But I'll never forget the heavy legs. He said my legs were so heavy I could hardly move. Well, I had an experience reading meters, going from yard to yard, and this one particular house, actually it's near the Southwestern Seminary in Fort Worth, had bushes instead of a fence around it. Bushes about 4 or 5 feet high, and to get in the yard, you just kind of had to make your way through the bushes. And so I was doing that. It was a corner house, and I saw this woman standing with her back to me, her hair all straggly, and I didn't want to startle her, so I spoke just in a normal voice. A meter reader, electric company, and she wheeled around with a cackle and stared at me, pointed at me with her finger shaking. She said, "You, J. Frank Norris, James J. Segrist, God's preachers." And she kind of said it like that with a cackle, just laughing. Well, what happened was my legs got heavy. I couldn't move. I was like frozen in my tracks. Eventually I did. Got to the sidewalk, to the curb, and sat down. And since then, I've been all over the world. But you run into situations in life where you have to make a decision. And I made that decision at Sycamore Park. Now my commitment is to Jesus Christ. I sat on that curb outside of her yard and made kind of a similar commitment. I don't fear you. I don't fear Satan. He that is within me is greater than he that is in the world. And I walk in that same confidence today. He that lives in me and you as a believer is greater than the one that's in the world.